Welcome people to the second installment of rap albums that were never released, where I pretty much talk about rap albums that were never released. And to clear up confusion, I mean never released officially. This series will also contain planned/scrapped albums that were being worked on at a certain time but ultimately never came out. This also contains different versions of albums that are currently released as well. If you guys like the content, you guys should like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Also follow my Instagram too, that would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and just show me some love, it's all good. Also let me know where you're tuning in from, represent where you're from, comment down below some of your favorite rap albums that were never released officially so I can talk about them in upcoming volumes. But without further ado, I give you rap albums that were never released, volume 2. On the first installment of the series, this album was mentioned in the comments, and I've seen stuff on this before. I'll take you guys back to December of 1992 when Eazy-E would release the EP 5150 Home for the Sick. I read a Variety article from back in January of 1993, and it looks like this EP was set to be a precursor to Temporary Insanity, which was supposed to release later on that January. This album was set to be a double disc album that would contain 30 songs and even was supposed to include a guest appearance by Guns N' Roses. That's a song that I'm still to this day definitely interested in hearing. I've seen interviews where Eazy is asked about who his favorite rock band is, and he said that it was Guns N' Roses, and I believe there is even pictures of him with members of the band. Axl Rose, who's a member of the band, has been pictured in an NWA hat and has spoken very highly of the group. Eazy-E has worked with the member of Guns N' Roses, with Slash working with Eazy-E for the song Love for Them Gangsters. I will say I have no clue if the collaboration with all of Guns N' Roses for the album Temporary Insanity has ever been recorded, but if it was, then it still remains unreleased to this day. I had no clue about the relationship between NWA and Guns N' Roses, but after doing some digging, I'm really intrigued by the history, so let me know if you want me to do a video on the connection between NWA and Guns N' Roses in the future. But some more about the Temporary Insanity album is that Brian Turner, who's the founder of Priority Records, who Eazy-E's label Ruthless Records was being distributed by, was really hyping the album. Brian Turner would say that there was so many aspects to the album, with it having pop-like songs to take to radio and street cuts for the rap set. I've also seen that there were promotional posters for the album, but with the release date of May instead of January. May of 1993 would also just so happen to be the month that Dr. Dre would have released a second single off of The Chronic, which was Dre Day. The Chronic would release months before, with it releasing in December of 1992. On Dre Day, Dr. Dre would diss Eazy-E, and it said that this changed the plans for Temporary Insanity. BG Knockout, who was affiliated with Eazy-E, said in a DJ Vlad interview that Eazy-E was always looking for a way to gain something from publicity. Instead of releasing Temporary Insanity, Eazy-E would release a different EP later on that year in October. This EP would have the legendary diss song Real MF and G's, which released 2 months prior to the EP. This diss track was aimed at Dr. Dre among others. I've seen people talk on forums about Temporary Insanity, with people saying that the album was never completed, which if true would be interesting, especially with what was said in that Variety article like that I mentioned earlier. As we know, Eazy-E would sadly pass away in March of 1995, and as we know, Temporary Insanity would never come out, and I've also heard from people that Eazy-E does not have a lot of unreleased material left. I've mentioned this project in multiple videos, but I felt like this needed to be an entry into the series. In June of 2008, Lil Wayne would drop his classic album, The Carter 3, which propelled him to new heights. The man literally sold over 1 million copies in the first week, which is insane. I have a whole video that I did about the Carter 3, in which I'll put a link in the description too if you would like to watch it. In October of 2008, about 4 months after the release of the Carter 3, Lil Wayne would do an interview with MTV, and he would say, "I don't know if we're going to release the Carter 4 now. I think we're going to release the Carter 3, a new Carter 3, with none of the same songs though. None of them, not one. We don't want to call the next album we got coming the Carter 4. That was the dilemma we were in. We want Carter 4 to be what everybody wants it to be. This is something brand new, so we don't want it to be some experimental thing, because some people are not going to like this. I don't want them to not like the Carter 4, but I do have an album coming very soon, and it's going to be called the Carter 3, The Rebirth, The Birth of a New Beginning. A confirmed track that was supposed to appear on this project was a collaboration Lil Wayne did with Ludacris called Eat You Alive. That was supposed to appear on the original Carter 3, but didn't make the cut. I'll play a little of the track so you can get a feel of what the project was potentially going to sound like.
Welcome to the card, little shop of harbor. Level like a period, after the arbor. Doctor, I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog. Not Georgetown, but I'm a uptown hard.
That's right, I'll eat you alive. Ludacris, I'll eat you. Till it ain't nothing left, till the cops can't identify none of your facial features. Letting out my rage, unleash the beast, unlock your guest of honor. Let me out my cage, I'll eat these beats. I'm hip-hop's Jeffrey Dahmer.
In the same MTV article, it also talked about the potential of all the different versions of the song A Milli being on the album. In my video about the Carter 3, I talked about the different versions of that song. Corey Gunz, Lil Mama, Tyga, and Hurricane Chris were all originally supposed to have their versions of A Milli on the Carter 3 as separate interludes, but this ultimately never happened. Wayne would ultimately move on in a different direction with this project, with Lil Wayne releasing his rock album Rebirth in February of 2010, with his first single coming out over a year before that, with that single being Prom Queen, which released in January of 2009. Back in 2009, it was said that Rebirth had nothing to do with any of Wayne's previous works, which means that it had nothing to do with the Carter 3, The Rebirth, The Birth of a New Beginning. But this project never ended up getting released, but at least we have the Ludacris track in the different versions of A Milli. Juelz Santana had a very interesting run in the rap game. He's definitely a legend, with him being a part of the legendary rap group Dipset, and he had a very promising solo career, but he truly left more to be desired, with him dropping only 2 albums, with the last one being all the way back in 2005, but I will say that he did drop quite a few mixtapes. But since I'm talking about Juelz Santana and rap albums that never came out, I know I'll probably get comments about his collab project with Lil Wayne that never dropped called I Can't Feel My Face. I already have a whole video talking about that project, in which I'll put a link in the description so you guys can watch that. But Born to Lose, Built to Win would be an album that was confirmed to drop but never did. This was supposed to drop in late 2013, which at the time would have been around 8 years since his sophomore album, What the Game's Been Missing. Juelz Santana was supposed to release multiple projects in 2013 leading up to Born to Lose, Built to Win. What we do know about the album is that Juelz said that Lil Wayne was supposed to executive produce it. In an interview, Juelz would say, "It's a certain result you want to get from putting out an album," you dig what I'm saying? I feel like getting with Lil Wayne, us together, we can get the results that I need to capture and I want to capture from putting out this Born to Lose, Built to Win album. I'm not just going to send him records and ask him what he thinks, and he's not just going to send me records and I just do the records that he likes. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a collective, us figuring out what's the best way to be successful, have a great product that the people appreciate and like more than anything, and get the results. Definitely this year, 2013. If not, then you'll just hear a lot of music from Juelz. It's just going to be non-stop from Juelz. This is like the platform to keep this ball rolling. Juelz Santana wasn't entirely wrong, because he did drop his mixtape God Willing at the beginning of 2013, which was his first solo project in a while at that point. He did say that there would be 2 parts to God Willing, but that ultimately never materialized. But with Born to Lose, Built to Win, Juelz Santana would say that he didn't want to rush it. Born to Lose, Built to Win, that's the name of my new album. I'm used to getting nothing and turning it into something. It ain't no Def Jam delay, it ain't no delay. I'm just waiting day to day, watching the game and paying attention. I ain't want to rush an album. I want to keep it relevant, keep all the pieces right there. I'm just strategically doing things, and I don't want to just drop an album. In this day and age, it feels like you got to give people more, so I want them to want for Juelz Santana to succeed and oversee everything else, I really need them to be there. This was supposed to be the album to get Juelz Santana back on track, because in his words, he said that he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing for a minute. Born to Lose, Built to Win, however, never got a release date, and to this day hasn't been released, and Juelz still hasn't released a solo album in over 15 years. This project was brought to my attention underneath the last video in the series. With me personally being a big fan of 3 6 Mafia along with Juicy J and DJ Paul, I found this intriguing because I had never heard of this project previously. The top comment underneath that video mentions this project, and in the comment the person, MP Pharaoh, said that they have been waiting for this project since 1998. I also saw a tweet from comedian Carlos Miller where he said that he was also still waiting for the project. I was trying to find info on this project, but it was pretty hard to come by, at least for me. I know people have been waiting on it since the 90s, but something that I did find out is that on the outro of 3 6 Mafia's last studio album, Last to Walk, they mentioned Cash and Checks. That album would release in 2008, and on the outros of 3 6 Mafia's albums and tapes, they normally shout out and advertise projects that are already out or upcoming projects from them or their affiliates. On the outro of Last to Walk, Juicy J would mention Cash and Checks, and DJ Paul would add that they still had Cash and Checks and that they were still going to bring it out, whether it was a mixtape or an album. Well, this didn't materialize, as we would see. Another instance of this project being mentioned is when DJ Paul did an interview with NME in late 2020. When asked if we would ever see the release of Cash and Checks, he would say, "You know what, to be honest with you, if me and Juicy do release something, then that's what it should be." People would go crazy. I think a lot of people would be more excited about that than a 3 6 Mafia album. To our disappointment, DJ Paul would say that him and Juicy J actually didn't record anything for the project and that they were just talking stuff at the end of their albums. However, they did make some Cash and Checks artwork. This might disappoint some fans that thought that there were already songs made with the project in mind, especially if they had been anticipating this project since the 90s. We still have yet to see DJ Paul and Juicy J make any music together recently, but there's a possibility that they do a project together. It could be called Cash and Checks. This is an entry in the series that I'm very personally attached to. To those who don't know, I'm a huge Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi Vert fan, and while I wasn't the biggest fan of them when this tape was supposed to come out, looking back on it, I still feel like it was just such a missed opportunity. Though this is said to be a mixtape, I still included this on the list because honestly nowadays I feel like there's no difference between a mixtape and an album. Like, what the heck is a commercial mixtape? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And plus, if this project does ever get released, there's a possibility that it could be an album. But this story takes us to 2017 when Playboi Carti posted a picture with the caption, "Carti Uzi tape, Uzi Carti tape, 1629. Why the title of 1629 is so significant is because those numbers represent the blocks of Uzi and Carti. Lil Uzi Vert is from the 1600 block of Philadelphia, while Carti represents the 2900 block of Atlanta. At this time in 2017, Lil Uzi Vert just released his debut album Love Is Rage 2, which released in August of that year. Carti made that post in September, but Love Is Rage 2 would peak at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 135,000 copies in its first week. This album was also led by the song EXO Tour Life, which was a monstrous hit, with it peaking at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, and as of today is 7 times platinum. The Way Life Goes is another single off of the album, and that's quadruple platinum, with Sauce It Up being the last single, and that's double platinum. Earlier on in 2017, Playboi Carti would release his self-titled mixtape, and that would peak at number 12 on the Billboard 200 with first week sales of 28,000 copies. The second single for the album, which features Uzi, which is Woke Up Like This, would peak at number 76 on the Billboard Hot 100, and now it's double platinum. The last single for that project would be Magnolia, and that peaked at number 29 on the Billboard Hot 100. At the time, Uzi and Carti was both having some success, but Uzi was popping more on a mainstream level, especially after EXO tour life really exploded. I remember that song like in real time, me being in high school, stuff like that. That song really took off and it was just inescapable. Had the people in my high school in a chokehold for real, for real. But Carti and Uzi dropping these projects really set the tone for 1629, and a couple of months after Love is Rage 2 dropped, the 1629 tour would be announced, with it being set to start in November of 2017. Sadly though, just as fast as the tour got announced, it would be canceled, with Uzi going to Twitter saying that he wasn't going on tour with Carti and needed to focus. In 2018, Carti would do an interview and say that him and Uzi had been recording together since dating back to 2015. He additionally said that by 2018, they had around 100 tracks together. Those who are fans of Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi Vert know that their music gets frequently leaked. During this time period, collabs between Uzi and Carti that could have potentially ended up on 1629 started leaking. The song Break the Bank would leak in late 2017, and in 2018, the song Big Bank would leak. Side note, the music video for Break the Bank would leak this year in August. The song Throw It Up would leak in 2018 as well, and the song Candy would eventually be leaked. There were other songs that were teased as well, such as 400 Degrees, 1600 Block, and Super Soaker. In 2019, things got dicey between Uzi and Carti, with Uzi on Twitter replying to a fan saying that him and Carti weren't on good terms and that he took a different route. He also said that it wasn't a beef. A year later, Lil Uzi Vert would retweet the song Break the Bank when a fan asked him if they would ever drop the song. Carti and Uzi would eventually make up, and earlier on this year, Uzi was asked who he wanted to do a collab album with, and he said that he would want to do one with Playboi Carti. Uzi would appear on stream with popular streamer Aiden Ross, and he would drop some info that I and many people weren't privy to. Aiden Ross would mention the songs that leaked, and Uzi would say that him and Carti recorded 1629 in London and that nobody has the songs, including Uzi. When Aiden asked Uzi if 1629 was done, Uzi would say no, and he would further say that from 2020 to 2022, him and Carti had done 40 new songs. This doesn't include older songs that we've never heard before. A couple months later, Playboi Carti would do an interview with XXL. He had this to say about 1629. Uzi is working on mad music right now. I don't know if he's serious about a lot of things, but I hope one day we can change the world with that for sure. As of now, the project hasn't been released, and there's no clue if it'll ever happen. Personally, I wouldn't be opposed to the project releasing, but it should have definitely released back in 2017, 2018. Now Uzi and Carti have evolved, and both of their sounds have evolved as well, and I don't know if it will hit the same. I could be wrong though, but if they do release the project, then I think that they should definitely add new and older songs. In 2014, it was revealed that A$AP Mob would cancel what was supposed to be their collaborative album called Lord. A now deceased member of the A$AP Mob, A$AP Yams, would make a post on his Tumblr saying that the Lord project was scrapped, and also said that FLACKO Jody season would be that fall. He would further announce on Twitter that A$AP Nast was supposed to release a mixtape as early as that October. A$AP Rocky would have released the single Multiply in October of that year, with his sophomore album coming out in 2015 after the passing of A$AP Yams. A$AP Nast would also end up never releasing this mixtape that A$AP Yams was talking about. What we do know about Lord is that it had been teased since at least July of 2013. A$AP Ferg, in an interview with XXL in July of that year, said that at the time the forthcoming A$AP Mob album was likely to drop after his solo effort Trap Lord, in which Trap Lord was set for a late August release date. A$AP Ferg would say, "We got the A$AP Mob album coming out, we're going to drop it with my tape as a pre-order. The album's supposed to drop after Trap Lord drops, and then you should expect more visuals and singles from other members." The A$AP Mob would have released the single Traumatic in December of 2013, and that song is a banger. I still remember when that song first came out, super crazy. It was also revealed at this time that the Lord project was set to drop in March of 2014. March would come around and there would be no album. However though, in June of that year, the A$AP Mob would release another single entitled Hella Girls, and that would be another banger in my opinion. Sadly though, as mentioned, come September of 2014, the project was scrapped, and is really unfortunate in my opinion. The A$AP Mob would have released their debut mixtape, Lords Never Worry, in August of 2012, and critics deemed this project to be lackluster, and A$AP Rocky even admitted to not really liking that project. A$AP Rocky would say that the songs were good, but he knew what happened behind the scenes, and he knew that that project was pretty much rushed. A$AP Yams wanted to give the fans something because the mob had been leaving them waiting. Despite receiving generally negative reviews, this project did elevate A$AP Ferg with his song Work. A$AP Rocky would be the star of the group, while A$AP Ferg became the second breakout member of the group. It's said that the Lord project was supposed to lead to A$AP Nast becoming the third breakout star from the group. This is said because he was all over Traumatic and also featured on Hella Girls. He was also being considered for the 2014 XXL freshman class that year as well. Also, as mentioned earlier, A$AP Yams said that A$AP Nast had a mixtape that was supposed to come out, and like I said, like, that never got released. But judging by the singles, and hopefully with somebody like A$AP Rocky being more involved in the project, I think that it would have been better than Lord's Never Worry. It's really unfortunate that Lord ended up getting scrapped though. I've seen that there are unofficial versions of Lord online, but once again, these are unofficial. The A$AP Mob did end up dropping their debut album in October of 2016 with Cozy Tapes Volume 1 Friends, but it makes us wonder what would have happened if they dropped Lord back in 2014. But that will wrap up the video for today. Thank you guys for staying until the end. I really appreciate that. All in all, let me know what you guys thought of the video. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace. Give me some ideas for the third installment of the series. We out.